The next VLGA member-exclusive Lunch and Learn session is on Friday the 27th of March, a free event exploring psychosocial hazards and the Council's role as the CEO's employer. Attendees will gain insight into new legislation, understanding the impact of culture, workload and role clarity, and ensuring appropriate systems of support and accountability are in place. Join the VLGA's Head of Local Government Programs and Policy, Dawn Bray, and Managing Partner from Justicia Lawyers, Melissa Scadden, as they break down the responsibilities of councillors under this emerging piece of legislation. It's on Friday the 27th of March from 12 to 1 p.m, a member-exclusive Lunch and Learn session from the VLGA. Details at vlga.org.au. Ahead on the roundup, a mayoral deadlock in Wyndham. Yarra's mayor makes wild admissions while trying to get an assault charge dropped. A leadership crisis at the City of Ryde with 3 top executives sidelined. A long-serving New South Wales General Manager is stepping down. Mayors react to a backflip on a planned expansion of SBS into Western Sydney. Evacuations at a Queensland council after a threat to public buildings. And a WA council calls for a monitor to help with culture and governance issues. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome to the Local Government News Roundup, a curated selection of news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Also today, a deputy mayor is facing conduct questions over a local health dispute. All the details coming up thanks to the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. And from Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. Thank you for joining me wherever you are around Australia or across the world for this edition of the Roundup, Friday the 20th of March 2026. Starting with our Victorian report. And a political stalemate in Wyndham City Council remains unresolved after a second attempt to elect a new mayor ended in a deadlocked chamber on Wednesday night. The vacancy in the mayoralty follows the February suspension of former Mayor Josh Gilligan after a finding of misconduct by an arbiter. Since then, Councillor Preet Singh has been serving as acting mayor, but a formal vote to fill the position for the remainder of the current term has exposed deep divisions in the councillor group. During Wednesday night's meeting, the chamber split into 2 5-vote blocks. One group, led by councillors Shannon Maguire and Mia Shaw, nominated acting mayor Preet Singh. The opposing faction, led by Robert Zatkowski and Jasmine Hill, put forward councillor Peter Maynard. After a 10-minute adjournment intended to break the impasse, a second vote yielded the exact same result, 5-5. Councillors are now scheduled to return for a third attempt to break the tie on Monday at 6 p.m. Suspended Councillor Josh Gilligan is not due back from his forced absence until the 25th of March, next Wednesday. The timing of the leadership vacuum is particularly sensitive as a state election approaches, with observers suggesting that a fractured council may struggle to present a unified voice in its advocacy towards election candidates. Now to Yarra, and Mayor Stephen Jolly has asked prosecutors to drop an unlawful assault charge linked to an election after-party in Collingwood in November 2024. Defence lawyer Tony Hargraves told the magistrate that Mr Jolly did not assault anyone and says 6 sworn witness statements support that position. Councillor Jolly appeared by video link and says he will plead not guilty. After the hearing, Councillor Jolly spoke to television journalists and made what 9 News described as wild admissions about other accusations for which he's not been charged. The Herald Sun reported the charge he is facing carries a maximum 3 months in jail and is not classified as a serious offence under the Local Government Act, meaning he can remain as mayor while the case proceeds. He returns to court on March the 25th. To other news, and from the 1st of July, Kingston Council's Access Care Service will take on selected Commonwealth Home Support Program services for Frankston City clients, after Frankston Council decided to withdraw from some delivery as national reforms roll out. Frankston Mayor Councillor Sue Baker says the council will keep services like Meals on Wheels, group outings and community transport. Kingston Mayor Councillor Georgina Oxley says Access Care has supported local seniors for more than 30 years and will focus on a stable, caring transition. Frankston has set up a transition team and staff can apply for roles at Access Care. Yarra Rangers Council has won a magistrates court case against an Upwey landowner who destroyed 9 protected eucalypts without a permit. The resident admitted the offences and was fined $15,000. Yarra Rangers Mayor, Councillor Richard Higgins, says planting permits are a state government requirement and they're there to protect biodiversity, tree canopy and reduce risks like landslips. He says a quick call to the council could have avoided the penalty. Maroondah Council says the penalty for nuisance barking dogs has become too small to change behaviour after a statewide cut that dropped the fine from $102 to $51. The leader reported that councillors have voted to take a motion to the MAV State Council calling for an urgent review of the Domestic Animals Act. Councillor Julie Spears says barking dog complaints are among the toughest disputes to resolve, leaving neighbours stressed and sleep-deprived while residents spend weeks gathering evidence. Council officers warn many owners may simply pay the fine and ignore the warning, pushing cases toward court. Victoria is trying to cut truck traffic through Melbourne's inner west by changing what can be built on key industrial land. But Maribyrnong City Council says the state's rezoning plan may not deliver the outcome residents want. A planning amendment would shift parts of West Footscray, Tottenham and Yarraville-Corley from Industrial 1 to Industrial 3, aimed at moving the precinct away from heavy freight uses. Maribyrnong's Mayor, Councillor Mohammed Semra, says the community wants fewer trucks and cleaner air, but the council is not yet convinced rezoning alone will bring meaningful reductions. He says the council is urging a broader package, including low emission zones, infrastructure upgrades and other planning tools. Pyrenees Shire Council is preparing a submission to Victoria's parliamentary inquiry into the 2026 summer bushfires after the Streatham Yala Waipora fire on January 9. Mayor Councillor Damien Ferrari says the inquiry is a chance to set out what worked and what didn't and what communities need for recovery. The council says it will describe damage to infrastructure, disruption to the environment and local economy and the limits a small shire faces in major emergencies. The submission is due by April 19. And Bass Coast Shire Council will take a motion to MAV State Council in May, calling for stronger transparency and community consultation and tighter accountability when the state government fast-tracks major proposals. The Mayor, Councillor Rochelle Halstead, says recent permit changes linked to the Vietnam Veterans Museum at Cape Woolamai were made with little or no local input and without a right of review. She says councils and communities should have a real say before decisions become concrete. Also making news, Corangamite Shire has secured $30,000 from the TAC's Local Government Grants program to buy a portable LED roadside sign. The 5-colour variable message sign will also have radar, helping council track speeds and plan future safety work. Bass Coast Shire has joined a coalition of councils urging the state government to rethink the mandated curbside glass recycling bin, the so-called purple bin, due by July next year. The council says the service could cost around $3 million to roll out and add roughly $36 to $42 a year to household waste charges. And Greater Bendigo is about to see top-level hockey up close, with the Melbourne Cobras committing to play a home game in the region in both 2026 and 2027. Greater Bendigo Mayor Councillor Thomas Prince says it's a chance to bring world-class sport to local families and to inspire the next generation of regional athletes. Lots more news to come for you. The City of Ryde leadership crisis in just a moment, but first a word from our supporting sponsor, Symphony 3, which allows councils to connect their systems securely, to automate their data flows and to monitor performance in real time. And councils are lining up for the new emergency dashboard that Symphony 3 has created for a number of councils, including the City of Greater Bendigo and very recently Alpine Shire Council. The dashboard helps keep the community safe and prepared before, during and after emergencies, pulling together live data including weather, traffic, emergency incidents, unplanned and planned disruptions, news and social media feeds. Visit symphony3.com to learn how you can get an emergency dashboard for your community. The City of Ryde in the northern suburbs of Sydney has been plunged into a state of administrative uncertainty following a marathon 4-hour closed-door council meeting that resulted in the immediate standing down of 3 of its most senior officials. The Sydney Morning Herald reported that Chief Executive Wayne Rylands, Deputy CEO Michael Galdarisi and governance boss Graham Humphreys have all been placed on paid leave pending an internal investigation. While sources confirm an investigation is underway, no specific allegations of wrongdoing have been made public. Mr Rylands, who has led the organisation since 2022, has been temporarily replaced by John Angilli, the council's current Director of Business Services and a former executive at the City of Parramatta. According to the report from the Sydney Morning Herald, the decision unfolded during a high-tension Monday night meeting characterised by secrecy and procedural confusion. Following the meeting, automated out-of-office replies confirmed the executive's absence. Mr Galdarisi's email indicated a return date of April 6, while Mr Rylands directed all inquiries to his assistant. Official minutes for the session note that information was presented in a mayoral minute, along with an associated verbal briefing. The minutes confirm the appointment of Mr Angilli as acting CEO and that other details of the matter remain confidential. To Albury now, and the Deputy Mayor there is facing scrutiny over comments tied to a local health dispute. The Border Mail reports that Councillor Jessica Callaghan is believed to be under investigation for a possible breach of the New South Wales Model Code of Conduct after remarks about the termination of border surgeon John Stutchbury's contract with Albury-Wodonga Health last November. According to documents seen by the Daily Telegraph, Ms Callaghan said she could not confirm the exact wording, but that it reflected the strength of community concern at the time and was aimed at the lack of transparency, not confidential employment matters. Albury Council and Councillor Callaghan are yet to comment publicly on the matter. And Albury Council is weighing whether to seek approval for rate rises above the state cap, as it warns inflation and a big asset base are putting the budget under strain. The Border Mail reported that councillors will be asked to begin the process for a special rates variation, which would need sign-off from the pricing regulator IPART. Mayor Kevin Mack says the 2026-27 cap of 3.6% is below inflation, and staff say without action, borrowing for major projects like a new water treatment plant could become much harder. After 2 decades at Mid-Western Regional Council, including more than 12 years as General Manager, Brad Cam is stepping down. Mayor Councillor Des Kennedy says Mr Cam led a major program of infrastructure and community builds while keeping the council financially sustainable. He points to transport upgrades like Ulan Road and Cope Road and projects including the Mudgee Town Hall renovation and the Mudgee Arts Precinct as examples of Mr Cam's legacy. Brad will remain in the role until July 10th, with recruitment for a new General Manager to begin soon. For Western Sydney, it was meant to be a vote of confidence in Australia's multicultural heart, but the federal government has told SBS it will not proceed with a planned expansion into the western suburbs, citing the fiscal environment. Liverpool City Council Mayor Ned Manoon says dumping the move after more than a decade of advocacy is a massive betrayal of trust, and he's urging residents to pressure their local MPs. City of Parramatta Lord Mayor Martin Zeta is also speaking out. He says the reversal is an insult to the region and raises questions about equity and opportunity. And Blacktown Council has also released a statement in which a spokesperson said the council hopes it's a temporary setback and that it was pleased to read reports that a bid by Walker Corporation for SBS to be located in Blacktown City Centre was regarded favourably. A Central Coast councillor has pushed back at claims debate is being shut down at the council. Councillor Trent McWade says every councillor is working under the same code of meeting practice and that procedural rules are there so decisions can be made and outcomes delivered. In response to a Coast Community News article, he argued that a small minority is chasing media narratives instead of practical solutions, and he warns against what he calls weaponising procedure. Councillor McWade says the focus should stay on jobs and infrastructure and protecting the coast's natural environment. A Tamworth local court has heard police allegations that Tamworth Regional Council General Manager Paul Bennett received more than 300 threatening messages over 17 years. Bennett told the court the emails portrayed him as corrupt and included claims about his family, leaving him distraught. The Northern Daily Leader reported that the court heard the council diverted the messages away from his inbox for his mental health. 68-year-old Andre Fritz has pleaded not guilty to intimidating Bennett. The matter has been adjourned to August. And here's some good news from Lithgow City Council, which says a new landfill gas capture partnership has cut emissions by more than 7,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent in just 2 months by pulling methane from the solid waste facility and burning it in an enclosed flare. Mayor Cassandra Coleman says it's a win for air quality, less odour and a new revenue stream for ratepayers through Australian carbon credit units. LGI Chief Executive Jared Doran says Phase 1 included drilling 30 gas wells and laying more than a kilometre of pipe, with long-term results expected. In other news, the New South Wales government is injecting $120,000 into the Riverina to tackle a growing feral rabbit problem. The funding will support baiting and warren ripping across the Coolamon, Junee and Temora shires, focusing on public lands like road reserves and cemeteries. A new state task force has been fast-tracked to support Blue Mountains communities reeling from the closure of the Great Western Highway at Mitchell's Causeway. Mayor Mark Greenhill warns that local roads in Mount Victoria and Blackheath are struggling under the diverted traffic following the discovery of structural fractures. And beach safety is getting a high-tech upgrade at Maroubra and Coogee with the arrival of dedicated shark bite kits. The kits are designed for bystanders to use before paramedics arrive, and Randwick City Council says having them directly on the sand ensures help is seconds away if the worst happens. As always, you can find out more about our news briefs and indeed any of the stories featured in the Roundup by heading to lgnewsroundup.com and looking at the transcript. Now let's get to Queensland, and for a few hours in Dalby yesterday, council staff and courthouse workers had to leave their desks after police received reports of a threat to public buildings on the Western Downs. Queensland police say the report came in around 8:50 in the morning, prompting evacuations and building checks. Western Downs Regional Council confirmed staff were moved out of customer service centres and that everyone was safe. Staff were cleared to return by late morning. Police later said the threat was unsubstantiated and inquiries are continuing into what happened. A Google Maps shortcut is sending Bruce Highway drivers onto Giddy Road near Ayr, a narrow rural bypass built for local traffic, but now carrying heavy vehicles at 100 kilometres an hour. Burdekinshire Council Mayor Piarina Delacourt says the detour took off after the highway speed limit was cut to 80, making the back road look quicker on the app. The Townsville Bulletin reported that the council is working with the State Transport Department to review Giddy Road's limit, hoping to remove the time-saving incentive and reduce the risk of a serious crash at its intersection with the Bruce Highway. In the Whitsundays, after a 44-day consultation, Whitsunday Regional Council has voted to keep its 6-division model for the 2028 local government elections, rather than moving to an undivided system. The process drew more than 1,400 engagements through surveys, stalls and interviews. Mayor Ry Collins says people wanted a councillor who knows the needs of their local area, especially in communities like Bowen, Collinsville and Proserpine. The council says some residents still saw benefits in an undivided model, but the majority backed divisions. In Hinchinbrook Shire, a new round of trunk sewer works is being rolled out to unlock future housing and growth areas around Ingham and Tubana. The Queensland Government is funding the project, aimed at building the large pipes and pump capacity that new estates will eventually connect into. Hinchinbrook Mayor Raymond J.O. says it's unglamorous work, but it's the backbone that makes new homes possible. The council is stressing the project will not run sewer lines into private land and will not force existing homes to connect. In other Queensland news, Townsville is celebrating an historic 130-year bond with Japan, marking the anniversary of Australia's first Japanese diplomatic office. Mayor Nick Dometto met with Consul General Ishikawa Katsutoshi to honour the legacy of the original North Ward Consulate. While the history is deep, the Mayor says the future is practical, focusing on sister city ties and growing partnerships in renewable energy and hydrogen. In the southwest, Telstra CEO Vicky Brady has visited Goondiwindi to witness the region's mobile dead zones firsthand. Following the 3G shutdown, Mayor Lawrence Springborg warned that patchy service is threatening local businesses and emergency communications during floods and fires. The council remains sceptical of Telstra's official coverage maps, vowing to hold the telco accountable until service improves. And Livingstone Shire Council is looking ahead, kickstarting plans for a future civic precinct in Yeppoon. Mayor Adam Bellott says the project aims to consolidate a new library, community centre and council chambers into one central hub to meet rapid population growth. While no final decision to build has been made, the council is now moving into community engagement to define the region's needs for the decades to come. We're off to South Australia now. As petrol prices spike across the country, some councils are asking what should be promoted in public spaces. In Daily SA reports that the city of Onkaparinga has voted to stop new fossil fuel advertising and sponsorship on council-owned land, targeting companies whose main business is coal, oil or gas. The Conservation Council of South Australia is pushing councils to line up spending with climate targets. Its CEO Kirsty Bevan says it's a step towards a planned transition away from fossil fuels. Mitcham Council in Adelaide's inner south is considering a new rates approach aimed at vacant land and short-stay rentals in what it says is a push for fairness, according to Adelaide Now. Under the draft plan, about 58 homes used mainly for Airbnb-style stays could see average annual rates rise from around $2,400 to $5,800 if the property is available for more than 182 nights a year. The proposal would also lift charges on vacant blocks held for more than 5 years, with higher tiers for longer ownership to discourage land banking and encourage development. Mitcham Mayor and LGA SA President Heather Holmes-Ross says consultation starts next month with a decision expected in June. And Mount Gambier is marking a milestone with a year of community-led events to celebrate 150 years since the town was proclaimed. The council has endorsed the program and set aside funding, including a one-off grants pool of up to $5,000 for local groups to run their own anniversary projects. Mayor Lynette Martin says it's a chance to reflect on the city's journey and create new memories. Now for some Western Australian news. The Shire of Serpentine Jarradale has made a proactive call this week for help with its culture and governance. In an urgent business motion, the council resolved to formally request that the local government inspector Tony Brown appoint a monitor to the Shire. This follows a 2025 report into psychosocial risks and workplace management, which Councillor Kim Glicenti told the meeting raised concerns about harmful behaviours, including bullying and a lack of understanding of proper behaviour. In a statement, the Shire said it's already rolling out new training and reporting processes for staff and councillors. Speaking to the meeting, Shire President Rob Coles described the last 6 months as the worst of his life and challenged all councillors to look at their social media behaviour, describing lies, mistruths and nasty comments on Facebook. There were 2 confidential matters listed for this week's agenda relating to alleged behavioural breaches under its code of conduct. The urgent business item followed the confidential session. The request for a monitor comes after the inspector's powers were expanded in January and the subsequent appointment of monitors at Perth, South Perth, Port Hedland and Nedlands councils. The Shire says it welcomes the opportunity to work with Mr Brown as he reviews its request. The alleged misuse of public money is playing out far from the council chamber in the Shire of Kuro. Police say a former deputy chief executive at the Shire has been charged over claims he used council expense accounts to buy electronic items for personal benefit and then sold some and kept the money. WA Today reported it's alleged that Sam Karuli, 27, returned the day after his employment ended and stole about $3,000 worth of products. A search warrant in North Fremantle allegedly uncovered stolen property and MDMA. Mr Karuli has been charged with acting corruptly, stealing, attempting to gain benefit by fraud, perjury and drug possession. The Shire of Kuro released a statement saying some of the alleged matters were referred by the Shire to WA Police and that it will make no further comment in the interests of justice. The case returns to court on April 23rd. And in Subiaco, more than 1,000 pieces of community feedback have come in on concept designs for a new civic building and gardens. A consultation report compiled by external consultants will go to Council on Tuesday, March 24. The biggest concerns were the possible loss of green space, the project cost, and whether a new build is needed at all. Supporters spoke about protecting and improving the existing gardens and a sense of pride in the city's heritage and character. Survey sentiment was mixed, however, with more negative responses than positive. And free parking at Cottesloe Beach could be on the way out, with the town of Cottesloe reviewing whether to charge beachgoers, according to WA Today. Mayor Melissa Harkin says paid bays could ease the squeeze as housing density rises and help manage demand at peak times. An external report commissioned by the council has recommended the change, but locals have pushed back, arguing the beach should stay accessible to everyone. Let's round out the week now with some stories of interest from overseas. We're going to the Netherlands firstly. We're just days out from municipal elections there. 6 city council candidates have died, and as the NL Times reported, their names will still appear on the ballot papers because candidate lists are locked in. The latest was Andre Lemons, a candidate in Big Dalen, remembered as friendly, enthusiastic and deeply committed. Voters in places including Gouda, Enschede and Waterland will also see the names of Marion Eisden and 4 other candidates who died in recent days. It's a reminder that elections run on strict deadlines, even when real life intervenes. A court ruling in Birmingham in England is putting fresh pressure on a long-running bin strike, with the union Unite fined £265,000 for breaching an injunction. The High Court found Unite obstructed waste vehicles at depots, despite an order banning that behaviour, according to the Local Gov News site. Birmingham City Council says the decision draws a clear line on what is acceptable on picket lines. Cabinet Member for Environment and Transport, Councillor Majid Mahmood, says the ruling should send a clear message about conduct during the dispute. Unite calls the fine an attempt to intimidate workers. A new survey says the repair backlog for roads in England and Wales has climbed to a record £18.6 billion. Work it estimates would take about 12 years to clear. Budgets are up, but the Asphalt Industry Alliance says improvements are still only marginal after years of underinvestment and rough weather. The AA says it recorded 137,000 pothole-related call-outs in just 2 months. In Limerick Island, the region's biggest business group is warning the new directly elected mayor model could lose credibility unless the Irish government brings forward a promised review of the legislation. That's according to a report from the Limerick Leader. The chamber says the office held by Mayor John Moran was meant to be a bold new kind of local leadership, but the laws have left the mayor without the executive levers needed to deliver on housing, budgets and staffing. The chamber has written to government ministers urging an immediate review and substantive changes before problems become entrenched. In Canada, a tiny Nova Scotia town is weighing a big new symbol, a life-size wooden mermaid planned for a rock just offshore at Lockport. Deputy Mayor Craig Hillen says the statue could help draw visitors to Crescent Beach and the town centre and would be funded by donations, not taxpayers. But a former mayor, Corey Nickerson, calls the idea arbitrary, saying tourism should not come at the expense of Lockport's real heritage especially as residents worry about identity amid wider change. Supporters say the mermaid would be whimsical and family-friendly. CBC News reports that the debate now is what story the town wants to tell. From the US, in Independence, Missouri, a fight over a proposed AI data centre is moving from council chambers to the courts, according to KCUR News. Residents are suing after the city blocked a referendum petition that could have forced a public vote on more than $6 billion in tax breaks approved for a company called Nebius. Opponents say the city charter protects the right to put even fast-acting ordinances to a vote if enough signatures are gathered in time. The city says the incentives took effect immediately because they authorise contracts and cannot be challenged by referendum. Crews have already begun work on the site. And Dunedin City Council in New Zealand is starting the search for its next chief executive, opening the recruitment process for the role that runs the organisation day to day. The council says the next leader will inherit big decisions from infrastructure to community services and will be expected to keep the organisation steady while meeting the public's expectations for transparency and performance. That is the latest from the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 565, recorded on the 20th of March 2026. Join me on Monday for a special episode marking 5 years of the Roundup. Our podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. If you'd like to find out more about this episode, you can find the story links at lgnewsroundup.com. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We come your way every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Until next time, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more.